Sherry, please pray for my family and ask your audience to pray also that they will open their eyes to the truth. Folks, there's nothing worse in the world than being in the middle and just knowing that, you've got to jump out of the box and start learning the truth, because as a Baptist, good old Baptist Republican, I grew up one for 20-some years before I just said, this is enough. What is the truth? They're all lying. And it takes that leap of faith to say, okay, I don't believe this. They're lying, they're covering up scriptures to cover something else up. And every one of these denominations out there, they have to ignore and distort some scriptures to prove their beliefs and doctrines and dogmas in the others. And so then the Bible ends up making no sense. And they'll just tell you, oh, you don't know what you're reading. Or don't read it. We'll teach you at church. Or if you dare go against, especially a Baptist Republican, you dare go against a pre-trib rapture, it's almost heresy. I've been there, done that. Family is still that way. Not as bad as they used to be. And you know what works for me is just letting them know what you believe and dropping things every once in a while. Especially when your family's in politics or something and they love Bush and they think he's a great Christian, and oh my Lord. Just drop hints, just drop bombshells every once in a while. Don't expect a response. Say it and run. Because all you have to do is plant seeds, because the Lord will water them. It's been a long time in the making, but at least several years later of the effort, minimal effort, I should say, they'll start to get their eyes open. They'll start to open their eyes and start to see. And so it just takes patience, folks. And don't expect miracles. Don't expect a big thank you or a big recognition for opening their eyes once you do, because that really is what just turns people off. Don't expect results, and don't take the credit for results. Just leave it all in the Lord's hands and let Him deal with it. Especially when you're trying to talk to people that have earmuffs on, and eye muffs on. They don't want to see anything. They don't want to hear anything. They're just going to argue with everything you have to say. And that's typical, because you're shocking them. It's not easy learning the truth, especially when you've just lived you've lived your entire life believing in everything around you, everything you were taught in the schools and the churches, and then you realize the history books are a bunch of lies, the KJB's been manipulated, and we're all still being tested today, as Adam and Eve were tested in the Garden of Eden. The Lord's never stopped testing His people. So who are you going to learn from, man or Him? He says He's the door, knock on Him, so quit knocking. Don't stop knocking. That's the problem. People don't knock. They think saying a 30-second salvation prayer is the only thing they're ever going to have to do the rest of their life, and they're so wrong. That's why there's so few. 144,000 the elect on earth, 144,000 of the church that are sealed on earth. That's why there's so few. You know where all these other million supposed Christians are? They're the unnumbered souls under the altar. In the fifth seal, where so many souls being killed, persecuted for their faith that they can't be numbered. That's the churches today. That's not part of the 144,000, because they're also deceived. They're all waiting for a rapture, and the only thing they're going to find themselves in is a white robe under the altar. Question. I feel we're living in the last days like Sodom and Gomorrah. Was homosexuality the main cause of those cities' destruction? Was there more that went on? Well, that's the main dominant theme in the Bible. Once you sink to the sexual perversion that low, where the whole city was gathering outside of Lot's door that wanted to rape the angels that were visiting, I don't think it gets much lower than that. And I don't think God's destruction could come much quicker than that. And it was an example. I have to get some air in here. I'm ready to sweat to death. It was an example. You look at New York City, you look at San Francisco, you look at some of these countries around the world where homosexuality is just rampant. That is, rampant homosexuality has almost been the last red flag that a kingdom was going to be totally destroyed. If you look at the Romans, if you look at all the great empires in our history, rampant sexuality, homosexuality, was the last straw. And that's, as soon as those kingdoms got to that point, that's when they were totally destroyed. And so, here's a good marker. for those of you waiting and watching for the destruction of America or the destruction of this world, to watch the sexual perversions. Another question here. Talk in Spanish? No, you listen in English. I can't even speak English half the time. Hi, Sherry. On last week's show, you mentioned that Yah is going to be cranking up the power of the orgone blasters around the world. Just wanting to know if this includes orgone made after he does this. In other words, the orgone made after the time of the power increase be automatically more powerful, or just for the orgone already out there? Thanks, Sherry. Hey, just keep getting it out there. Just keep getting it out there. The more out there, the more he can crank. You know, you want to know the power of orgone. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but I made a post on my blogger this week, just yesterday, and it's talking about fires out of control. It says, just as I predicted, the fires would get outrageous as they try to beat our positive orgone energy with their dead orgone energy. Is it a fluke or a coincidence? And a list from MSNBC, all of these fires that have hit thousands of acres in at least 8 different states in just the past week or two. 2,300 acres in Utah, central Utah, California, Colorado, Arizona, Idaho, Montana, Oregon. 34,000 acres just in California. And 60-mile winds in California, and just thousands of acres. A 45,000 acre fire in Idaho. And so you have to wonder, are they starting to freak out because we've taken control of their strongholds out west? Because we've been back about a week now. Oh no, it's July. About 3 weeks now, we've been back. And the Lord said in 30 days, on June 26th, He said 30 days, and I have no idea what 30 days is. So we've been trying to guess exactly what that is, and a lot of people believe it's in 30 days He is going to crank the orgone, and so that's a really good explanation of what that 30 days might be, because if you look at all the fires now, and I predicted there would be a lot of fires, definitely, just reading something, sorry, I'm just kind of losing my train of thought now. Don't IM me, folks. Just send me emails. I lose my train of thought getting IMs. You can email at SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com. I lose my train of thought reading emails. It's not as bad. But I predicted, they were going to come counterattack what we've done throughout the nation with destructions. Because when we put too much, the earth automatically creates what's called a living force energy. The earth is a living being. It's a living source of energy, and it's a healing energy. And so by what they've been doing with their chemtrail assaults on the earth and their weather weapons is squeezing this life force, this living energy out of the earth and choking it. And so what we've done is went back out pumping orgone all over the place in the world to pump back up this living, healing energy of the earth so that their evilness and their wickedness can't dominate it. And so it's been a constant war because they need this dead orgone energy to feed off of and survive off of. And they use it in some way. They use it for the weather weapons, obviously. And they also use it to be able to utilize their own alien technology here on Earth. They also use